Welcome students. Let's continue our discussion on the OB important topics. The first important topic for the day is prevention. What is prevention? Trying to prevent a threatening change from occurring. Then you have self-protection. What is self-protection? Acting in ways to protect one's self-interest during change by guarding information or other resources. The 5 conflict handling intentions. The first is competing, that is assertive and uncooperative. Then you have collaborative, assertive and cooperative. Avoiding, unassertive and uncooperative. Then you have accommodating, unassertive and uncooperative. Compromising, it's a mid-range on both assertiveness and cooperativeness. These are the techniques of conflict handling intentions. Let's see some of the more other important terms of OB. The first is competing. When one person seeks to satisfy his or her own interest, regardless of the impact on other parties to the conflict. Person is competing. You compete when you place a bet that only one person can win, for example. Then you have a term collaborating. When parties in conflict each desire to fully satisfy the concerns of all parties, there is a cooperation and search for a mutually beneficial outcome. In collaborating, the parties intend to solve a problem by clarifying differences rather than accommodating various points of view. If you attempt to find a win-win solution that allows both parties' goals to be completely achieved, that's collaborating. Let's see some other important terms. Avoiding. What is avoid? A person may recognize a conflict exists and want to withdraw from or suppress it. He can withdraw from it or suppress it. Examples of avoiding include trying to ignore a conflict and avoiding others with whom you disagree. Then you have accommodating. A party who seeks to appease an opponent may be willing to place an opponent's interest above his or her own, sacrificing to maintain the relationship. We refer to this as accommodating. Then you have some conflict resolution techniques. These are very important techniques of organizational behavior and they can be asked in a December 2019 exam. Let's see one of them, each of them. Problem solving. What is problem solving? Face-to-face meeting of the conflicting parties for the purpose of identifying the problem and resolving it through open discussion. Then you have subordinate goals. Creating a shared goal that cannot be attained without the cooperation of each of the conflicting parties. Expansion of resources. When a conflict is caused by the scarcity of resource, for example, money, promotion, opportunities, office space, expansion of the resource can create a win-win solution. Then you have avoidance. What is avoidance? Withdrawal from or suppression of the conflict. It's just a withdrawal or the suppression of the conflict. Smoothing. This is an important term of conflict resolution technique. What is smoothing? Playing down differences while emphasizing common interest between conflicting parties. Then some other conflict resolution techniques. It's compromise. Each party to the conflict gives up something of the value. Authoritative command. Management uses its formal authority to resolve the conflict and then communicates its desires to the parties involved. Altering the human variable. You can alter the human variable using behavioral change techniques. These are behavioral change techniques that are used to alter the human variable, such as human relations, tending to alter attitudes and behaviors that cause conflict. Altering the structural variable. You can alter the structure variable, like to change the formal organization structure and interaction patterns of the conflicting parties. And how this can be done? Through job redesign, transfers, creation of coordinating positions, and the like. Then you have conflict stimulation techniques. These are very important techniques of organizational behavior. They can be asked in your exam in December 2019. Do remember these all techniques. The first important technique is communication, using ambiguous or threatening messages to increase conflict levels. Bringing in outsiders. You can bring in outsiders, adding employees to a group whose backgrounds, values, attitudes, or management styles differ from those of the present members. Then you have restructuring the organization. You can restructure the organization, realigning work groups, altering rules and regulations, increasing interdependence, and making similar structural changes to disrupt the status quo, appointing a devil's advocate, designating a citric to purposely argue against the majority positions held by the group. I hope you like the lecture. If you like the lecture, do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon. We'll meet in next class.